Many of you have been mugged in Washington. You just don't want to talk about it. And I know that every time I do this with you, you almost everything, but every time I do this with you, people are saying to yourselves, he's right, and then you write a negative story.
Well, that's their job. That's, they know what's true, but that if they started telling the truth, that'd ruin the whole industry. The companies would go bankrupt. Everybody would be living in cardboard boxes on sidewalks, begging for a handout. Be terrible. Well, once again, a very happy Monday to you and welcome back. We may be reached at 888-630-9625. 9625. That was President Trump in the Oval Office just a short time ago signing a number of executive orders. The news media is very upset, cracking down on crime. And in Washington, D.C., no more this euphemism of cashless bail. That means there is no bail. The Democrats just let the criminals go to commit more crimes, showing that there are no consequences at all. Because the Democrats like more crime. It's one of the few things that they're good at is more crime, more murder, more mayhem. And I'm going to have more for you coming up on President Trump. We got Kilmore Abrego Garcia, who was taken into custody by ICE. The Democrats are very upset that the illegal alien gang member, wife beater, human trafficker might be deported. They can't stand the idea that he might be deported. But President Trump signing executive orders cracking down on flag burning, which has been legal in the United States for a long time based on a Supreme Court decision long ago, 1989, I believe. And isn't that interesting? The cashless bail, which means there's no bail, just let them go. What do we care? Don't be ridiculous. The National Guard in Washington, D.C., and when they're very upset, 1,700 National Guard. Joe Biden called up 25,000 National Guard for Washington, D.C., and they stayed for 4 months. We had thousands of Guard on the streets of Washington for 4 months, and that was because Ashley Babbitt had been shot and killed in the Capitol by a racist U.S. Capitol police officer. But never mind that. So we've got that going. Now, with all that said, I need to get back to that, but I also want to share with you my best girl and I yesterday. Yesterday was our wedding anniversary. Let us start with that. Yesterday was our number sixth wedding anniversary. And I think, I'm not sure, but it might be the broken glass anniversary. I want to share the story with you. And we had it was an unusual day, I've got to say. I didn't talk about this last week, but I do a television show for Newsmax in the evenings, and working at Newsmax in Washington, D.C., it's television. So they have people typically, there's a makeup room because it's television. Radio, one of the great things about radio is no makeup for men, right, at least, which is, would be emasculating to do, wouldn't it, to do radio and have to wear makeup. But I digress. In the makeup room at Newsmax, typically there are two women working typically in the makeup room, making people up, and I do a show with 5 of us on the set and all of that. But one of our makeup ladies, a lovely and wonderful lady who went by Renee Baldwin. Her first name was Travis, but she always went by Renee, her middle name. Travis, Renee Baldwin, was 57 years old when she was murdered recently. She was murdered in Virginia, not far from Washington, D.C., across the bridge. And Renee, who was a friend of mine and a wonderful person and a nice woman and a mother of children, she was murdered in Virginia by her son, quite tragically, who shot and killed Renee. All right. And it's a terrible story that is I mean, how can you describe it? A 57-year-old woman murdered by her 27-year-old son, and his name, the murderer, the son, Logan Chrisinger, and Renee had 2 children, and her son, a son and a daughter, and her son, who apparently had been dealing with, I'm told, with drug issues and mental health issues. And Renee, my friend Renee, had gone down to check on her son on the morning of the 17th because she was told that he was struggling and having issues. She went down to check on her 27-year-old son, Logan, and Logan shot and killed Renee. And I learned of that not long after the incident, and I've kind of been waiting to talk about it. Yesterday, there was a memorial service for Renee. It was held at a winery in Virginia where she had a personal relationship with the people that run the winery. And I don't want to name the winery right now, and I'll tell you why in a moment. But it was a very well attended event at the winery in Virginia for Renee Baldwin, 57 years old, gunned down, murdered by her own son, 27-year-old Logan Chrisinger, and obviously a tragic, terrible event. And since President Trump's talking about crime and mayhem, and the Democrats are pro-crime and mayhem, I wanted to talk about this as a little bit of an homage to Renee Baldwin, and she is missed, and she will be missed going forward. Now, my best girl and I, we drove out to the winery in Virginia. About an hour, maybe an hour and a half, actually, now that I think about it, outside of Washington, D.C. And again, very well attended, people from Newsmax, people from ABC News, where she also worked, people from ESPN, where she also worked. They're very busy people, and she also worked at the winery where the event was held yesterday. Very well attended, a very nice event, people speaking about her, and emotional and serious event. Now, after the official ceremonies had wrapped up, please head over here for some food and some wine provided by the winery and stuff. And my best girl and I were standing there talking to a couple of people, several people that we know. And when behind where I was standing and my best girl standing just to my right flank, a large, high table loaded with layers and layers of glasses for drinking wine and other things came crashing down directly behind me. And it was enormously loud and cacophonous, and everyone jumped a bit, and I kind of glanced over my shoulder. I saw the glass flying everywhere, and da-da-da. And as I looked around, I noticed that my best girl had almost instantaneously kind of scurried toward the 200-year-old house by where we were standing, and I saw her scurrying away. She doesn't normally scurry away, and I said, "Best girl," and I was walking behind her, and then I saw on her left leg blood. There's blood. And what is that blood doing below the knee? And I scurried, and she was moving toward the house. And one of the ladies with the family that runs the winery was being nice, saying, "Come this way. I've got a first aid kit. I have a first aid kit over here." And with the crash of the glass, the shards flying everywhere, and a big heavy plastic tray crashing down, very, very loud. I was looking around, still absorbing the sound and looking at the pattern of the glass, when I noticed my best girl rushing away. And I followed her to the house, and she was moving inside again with the nice lady from the family that runs the winery, and said, and put her up in a chair and grabbed some antiseptic and things. And my best girl had one laceration and 2 more punctures below the knee on the left leg, and one laceration about an inch from top to bottom was not insignificant at all. And I said, and we had some antiseptic wipes, and I grabbed it and gave it a push, and checking for glass and things, and said, and the nice lady from the winery is gathering up all of her medical things, and we did the antiseptic and cleaned it up and wiped it down to the main laceration and the two smaller cuts, but still blood coming from the two smaller cuts above that. And then the nice lady, I asked if they had any butterfly Band-Aids. I did say it looks like this could use 2 stitches, maybe 3 stitches, because the one laceration was bleeding. It wasn't just a scratch. It was bleeding. It was entirely through the skin, entirely through the flesh, and antiseptic and da-da-da. And then I was able to clean it up and kind of put pressure on it, and she's behaving like a trooper. And I asked the nice lady from the winery for if they had butterfly bandages, and indeed, maybe this happens all the time. Indeed, they did have butterfly Band-Aids. Not everybody has butterfly Band-Aids. And peeled off the first one butterfly Band-Aid and tried to pull the laceration together and pull the two sides of the flesh together. And butterfly Band-Aids are great, and they stick really well. And then the second one, and I did an X pattern across the laceration on the leg. And then another Band-Aid for the second cut. The third one we dabbed up, and it was okay. Didn't cover it with a Band-Aid, but so that we got that going for us, right? And then I said, because we're going to be driving back into the city from Virginia, I said, I'd be happy to stop at Sibley Hospital and see if they want to give you 2 or 3 stitches here. And she was like, nah, I don't think so. I think it's good. It'll be fine. And we got home and used that at home. We had hydrogen peroxide and some good stuff to dab the hydrogen peroxide and dab it up and give it another clean up there. The butterfly Band-Aids, and I had more butterfly Band-Aids because the nice people at the winery gave us more butterfly Band-Aids, and knowing that they'd have to be replaced. And so we dabbed that up. And so turns out the 6th wedding anniversary is the broken glass. It's the broken glass anniversary, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that until yesterday. So that was our yesterday thing, going to a memorial service at a winery in Virginia for a now late colleague of mine at Newsmax who was murdered about a week ago now by her son, who is in custody. And that was bizarre enough, right? And then the crash of the glass and the blood and the dabbing it up and the medical attention and the butterfly Band-Aids and then talking about going to the hospital to get some stitches. And she's like, nah, I'll walk it off. Don't worry about me. Everything's good here. Because, So like that. That was our yesterday. That was our 6th wedding anniversary. And then I've got to say it was beautiful out yesterday. It was a beautiful climate change day. And my best girl being no slacker, no slouch, we came home. We came back to D.C., and then we walked to a restaurant, and we had an early dinner on an outdoor patio at the restaurant. And it was pretty good. Came home and checked the laceration again. And had a nice evening. Had a nice evening at home together. But that was our yesterday. That was our 6th wedding anniversary. The broken glass anniversary. Didn't know anything about that. And Godspeed to Renee, of course, as well, because that's an obvious tragedy. Life in the big city, I'm telling you, can be crazy out there. Remember normal. And raise your children to the extent that that's possible. That's a good thing. We successfully avoided all that. I'm signing the cross. Yes, sir. Wonderful stuff. All right. Now, I've got more and President Trump coming up for you because he's fighting crime, so the Democrats are fighting him. The big wireless companies are pulling one over on all of us at this point. It's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. I made the switch. I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide big wireless coverage, but without the big wireless money every month, the big cost and the bill every month. It's not just about saving money and the bill every month, although that's pretty good. It's also about not being used and abused by the big cell phone companies. Do you have any idea, any clue how much data you use every month? Most people don't. I don't know how much data I use. But most people 50 years and older use less than 8 gigs of data a month. The big wireless companies, they shove you into an unlimited plan because they're redistributing your money to pay for 19-year-olds that use 100 gigs of data every month when you don't. You know, if you're not using all the data that they're charging you for, then you are the one being used. And when you decide you've had enough of that, it's time to go with Consumer Cellular. They set me up with a service and a great phone. Incredibly easy to make the switch. You make a phone call, you talk to an actual person, not a robot. That person is based right here in the United States, not on a space station. And real human beings who are helpful. It'll only take you about 20 minutes. You'll save money every month and stop being used and abused. Give them a call and make the switch today. Call Consumer Cellular at 1-800-760-0702. That's 800-760-0702. Yes, sir. Yes, I don't want to make it all about me or anything, but it's it was an unusual day yesterday. I wanted to share these events with you. And we remain at 888-630-9625. You know, I was playing for you I'm sorry with that downer of a thing here. I just got a text from a friend of mine who I've known for 45 years that he knew Renee and had not heard the news about her being murdered, and he's known her for 20 years and hadn't heard the news about that, and I apologize for that. That's pretty rough stuff, I've got to say. But we were talking earlier about Democrat Party hero Kilmore Abrego Garcia taking a break from beating his wife so he could be detained by Immigration Customs Enforcement, and he's looking at possibly being deported. And he could be deported to Uganda if he chooses to be deported to Uganda. He's got a choice, or his homeland of El Salvador. And his lawyers said, well, you can't send him to Uganda. He doesn't speak the language.
Preposterous that they would send him to Africa, to a country where he doesn't even speak the language.
Doesn't even speak the language. No, that's just, he can't send him there. Now, he's in the United States where he doesn't speak the language. But if we send him to Uganda, if his lawyers chose Uganda, he would land in Uganda where the official language is English. But he still doesn't speak English. So his lawyer is telling the truth. We'd put him in a country where he doesn't speak the language because the language is English. And we know that he doesn't speak English. Now, how long has he been in the United States? 13 years. And I speak more Spanish than he speaks English. I might speak more Swahili than he speaks English. They also speak Swahili in Uganda, but English is the official language of Uganda, so we can't send him there because he doesn't speak the language. Got to keep him here. Let me go to President Trump signing executive orders today, making it illegal to burn the American flag, which it's true the Supreme Court ruled decades ago was free speech, was protected as free speech. President Trump signing executive orders cracking down on crime. No, this oxymoronic misnomer, cashless bail, meaning Democrats just let people go without bail. So it doesn't cost you anything. There's no penalty for not appearing in court. Cashless bail means no bail for criminals because Democrats want to accommodate crime and the people that commit them. That's what they do. And the flag burning, right, making that illegal, according to an executive order. The cashless bail and cracking down on crime. And talking about fighting crime in Baltimore, the Democrat governor of Maryland is against fighting crime in Baltimore. He thinks crime levels are right where they should be. The status quo is what the Democrat Party wants. They don't care how many murders there are. They just don't like Trump. So keep murdering, Democrats, because Trump is against murder. So now the Democrats have come out in favor of murder. President Trump in the Oval Office at the White House a big event going on at great length. Signing executive order with his Sharpie. Big
There's
classic.
no auto pen that can do that. Right? Look at that, Pam. Is that a good signature? Seriously, is that a good signature? Who can write like that? Nobody.
Signing the executive order on the big White House folder, and the classic Trump signature with the Sharpie, and it's extra large. See, no auto pen could do that. No, making fun of Joe Biden for all the auto pen pardons and criminals. Again, that's all about excusing crime and criminals. Most of, or a great many, certainly, of Joe Biden's auto pen pardons and what crime did you commit? Oh, I'll just have somebody in the West Wing sign something for you. President Trump in the Oval Office having fun, and he's doing shtick, he's doing jokes. Hey, look at that signature. No auto pen could do that.
Chicago, Illinois is a disaster. I have property there. It's a disaster what's going on in Chicago. And you get Pritzker, he's violating our rights. I think this is another men and women's sports thing. I think this is one of those, they call them 80-20 issues. I call them 97-3. I think the Democrats better get smart. And, politically, I hope they don't. But actually, in terms of love for the country, I hope they do, because it would be good to work together.
He mentioned another Democrat Party mental illness issue, and that is men competing in women's sports and stealing everything from the women that compete very capably against other women. And the Democrats want to cheat and steal that, and they got a Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who doesn't know what a woman is, even though she is one. And they want to steal everything. They genderless children in the first grade. They love illegal aliens like Kilmore Abrego Garcia, and they love the crazy man in the New York City subway, but not Daniel Penny, who stops the crazy person. They put the police officer that arrested George Floyd in prison and stabbed him 22 times. Isn't that amazing? They're on the side of crime. They're on the side of burning the American flag. They're on the side of illegal alien gang members around the United States, murdering, Rachel Morin, and the list goes on and on. College students and mothers of 5, and they shrug. But George Floyd is sainted, and they'll burn city after city, from Seattle and Portland to Miami and Atlanta to Kenosha, Wisconsin. They'll burn everything down over George Floyd, a career criminal, a junkie, and he died of cardiac failure while resisting arrest, and he's the hero of the Democrat Party. Now, can anybody name the 3 people killed by the illegal alien truck driver in Florida more than a week ago now? And, they love that they've got a fundraiser and a petition. At least 2.5 million Democrats have signed a petition in defense of the illegal alien truck driver who killed the 3 people. And they love the illegal alien criminal who killed 3 people and the Democrats that gave him the commercial driver's license in California. Aren't that amazing? And you just heard President Trump, Democrats fighting for more crime. President Trump talked about Chicago being such a mess when it comes to crime. Chicago's a complete disaster, and the Democrats are insane men and women's sports, pro-illegal alien gang members, anti-police. Their nominee for mayor in New York City wants to get rid of the police departments, plural, wants to get rid of prisons, wants to get rid of bail for criminals. They're pro-crime. And when your political leaders are pro-crime, you're going to get more crime, and you're going to get more murder. I think that's plain fall to see. Now, Brandon Johnson is the mayor of Chicago, Illinois, and I think I pulled together some crime stats for Chicago, Illinois, because it is nuts what's going on in Chicago, Illinois, and they brag about it. Chicago homicides lowest in decade, but so is arrest rate, because they've neutered the Chicago Police Department to the extent they can. So amazing stories that they have, and this is actually from earlier this month, August 4th. Chicago homicides were at a decade low for the 12 months through June. Why use the Gregorian calendar when you can just use a random calendar? But also down was the arrest rate from 42% for homicides to 27%. So in about 1 out of 4 homicides, there's an arrest, about 1 out of 4. Chicago saw fewer homicides during the 12 months through June 2025 than during any period in the past decade from June to June. And why wouldn't you go June to June, right? But it also saw the arrest rate fall to 27% compared to 42% a decade ago. And you look at these numbers, it's quite amazing. What do they have from June 24 until June 25? It's 2024 to 2025. They only had 498 murders. That's all. Just 498 murders. Isn't that wonderful? In 365 of those murders, no arrests. 133, some arrests. Now they say, hey, that's not so bad. You know, 2020 into 2021, we had 796 murders. And from July of 2021 until July of 2022, we had 799 murders. So, you know, now we've only got 498 murders. We're making great progress. And this is what they actually consider to be good news, right? And the mayor of Chicago is Brandon Johnson. He wants more murder.
The president has spent hundreds of millions of dollars to arrest 9 people in D.C. You know, that clearly he's demonstrated that he doesn't have a level of consciousness to understand what it takes to run cities.
He's as dumb as a rock. What he might be referring to, since he said this, I think, day before yesterday, is that Washington, D.C. had gone for 9 days without a homicide. Now we've gone for 12 days without a homicide. And that's the Democrat mayor of Chicago scoffing at the idea that you'd fight crime and want to reduce the number of murders that are taking place in your city and in other cities around the United States of America. Isn't that amazing? I went to Hey Jackass, because Hey Jackass keeps numbers on crimes and things. The month of August to date in Chicago, 27 people have been shot and killed. 164 people have been shot and wounded. That's in August. It's now August 25th. It's not over yet. Total number of people shot in the month of August to date, 191 people. Total, just amazing. Total number of homicides, 29. 27 were shot and killed, 2 more killed by other means. And the Democrats, they shout you down and say, come on, this is great. Isn't this great? Look at all the homicides we have. This is wonderful. They love homicide. Just extraordinary stuff. Last week in Chicago, from August 17th to August 23rd, 8 people shot and killed. That's more than 1 a day. 37 shot and wounded. And they say, hey, that's down 40%. That's nothing to brag about, but they're bragging about it. Total number of people shot last week, 45 people shot last week. That's down 37% compared to the same week last year, and they're bragging about it. 8 homicides last week. And Brandon Johnson then says, oh, well, what do they, arrest 9 people? No, that's maybe the 9 that you're struggling with, you anti-intellectual numbskull dimwit. Maybe what you're struggling with is that we've gone 9 days without a homicide. That could be what he's struggling with. Now we've gone 12 days without a homicide. Maybe he's talking about something else altogether, and it might have to do with the number of arrests. And he said, oh, only 9 people arrested. 1,007 people arrested. He says 7 people arrested. 111 illegal guns seized, right? 1,007. He says, oh, yeah, 9 arrests? How dumb are these people? And he's sitting there with a moron pretending to be a journalist who couldn't be more ignorant if the journalist were an elected Democrat.
The president has spent hundreds of millions of dollars to arrest 9 people.
And it's not hundreds of millions of dollars. Everything he says is a fatuous lie, the lie of a moron. Hundreds of millions of dollars have not been spent in the last 12 days by asking already employed federal law enforcement agents to be out in the streets of Washington, D.C. to arrest criminals and illegal aliens, God forbid, and gang members who, beat their baby mamas. And the Democrats, in a Democrat-controlled America, and you see it in the big cities everywhere, you have insane third world murder rates. You have illegal alien gang members beating baby mamas and all that good stuff. And then you go out and you arrest 1,007 people and seize 111 illegal guns. That means you're literally saving lives. Just last night, 86 arrests. And the moron mayor of Chicago, who was the moron, MSNBC or CNN? MS? And so the fake anchor, doesn't say, well, wait a minute, that 9 is not correct and hundreds of millions of dollars, that's not correct. So if you get your news from MSNBC, you're an idiot, and they helped. All right, you're wrong about everything. It's like the old Ronald Reagan line. It's not so much that Democrats don't know anything, it's just so much of what they know is wrong. And he certainly falls into that category. Just amazing. Just last night, Sunday night, 86 arrests. Multiple suspects accused of assaulting law enforcement and National Guard. Democrats applaud that. They're just not on the side of civilization. But then they come out and they lie to you, and then the journalists, so-called, sit there dim-witted and don't correct you because they don't know the difference.
We're not going to surrender our humanity to this tyrant. I can tell you this. The city of Chicago has a long history of standing up against tyranny, resisting those who wish to undermine the interests of working people. We're not going to back down. We're not going to cower. We're not going to bend. We're not going to break. We are Chicago. We are the soul of America, and we will maintain that posture from now until.
Stop shooting people. Start enforcing the law. Stop demonizing the police and demonize murderers. Demonize the gunmen, the people that are shooting kids all over the world. What do we have? 46 kids killed in Washington, D.C., all of them black, all of them gunned down in the last months. Not a year. Not a year. I think it's 9 months. Now we had 46, all black, all under the age of 18, murdered in the United States. And the Democrats shrug and say, well, we'll do more next year. Let's grab a phone call, Michael. Let's go to the great Sid calling from Los Angeles, California. El Cid, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for hanging in there, buddy.
So the question I have about Garcia's arrest in Tennessee is why the FBI told the police not to arrest him. I had a feeling that maybe they had his license on the registry to not arrest him, and this is maybe my paranoia that the government's working with the cartels on this human smuggling, that they gave him a pass and didn't even arrest him in Tennessee.
Well, I can't explain. You're right that they got word that in Tennessee, when you're talking about Kilmore Abrego Garcia now. Mm-hmm. And the human trafficking. And it's hard to keep all the Democrat hero criminals straight between the Indian truck driver killing 3 Americans in Florida and the Democrats turning him into a hero. Kilmore Abrego Garcia, MS-13, illegal alien gang member, human trafficker, wife beater, baby mama beater, hero of the Democrat Party. And why did Tennessee let him go? We and then we always say, Sid, we should investigate. That should be investigated, shouldn't it? And then they're never investigated. So. If we had a news media, maybe the New York Times or 60 Minutes should be investigating this stuff. But you know what? They're not.
Well, I would think the FBI now would look at who in the FBI said to let him go. It's just it's unimaginable to me that they call the FBI and they say let him go. It just doesn't make any sense.
And that has been the reporting on that, and then that's when the reporting stops. And you're in Los Angeles. And,
right.
Boy, you had a lot of government disappointment in Los Angeles in the last year, huh?
I would say for the last 30 years.
Yeah, man.
I think you're underestimating it. It's when I came to California, I thought it was paradise.
Yeah. I moved there. When did I move there? 1979, I moved to Santa Barbara, California, and I thought it was paradise, too. I did say there was one thing that moving there from Chicago said, California's great, but if you're going to be there for a long period of time, bring your own friends. Because, you want to be able to have conversations with people. Long, complex, involved conversations with people. Bring your own friends. President Trump at the White House talking about doing everything he can to end the war in Ukraine, against Ukraine, by the communists. Vlad the Impaler Putin and their nominee to be mayor of New York is a communist. The party, they're working on killing. Boy, they're killing a lot of people, the Democrats. They're the left. They're genuinely the left. J.D. Vance was on the television over the weekend, and he was getting a real, drubbing from the fake media. Hey, why haven't you ended the war in Ukraine yet? Joe Biden presided over it getting started. You guys are supposed to stop it.
We're trying to negotiate as much as we can with both the Russians and the Ukrainians to find a middle ground to stop the killing. I think what the president has tried to do here is try to engage in very aggressive, very energetic diplomacy, because this war is not in anyone's interest. It's not in Europe or the United States' interest. We don't think it's in Russia or Ukraine's interest to keep going. So we're going to keep on pushing for a diplomatic solution.
Going to keep pushing for a diplomatic solution, trying to bring an end to the war. President Trump trying to bring an end to the war in American cities, too, and our most deadly cities, all of which are run by Democrats, and the crimes being committed overwhelmingly by Democrats and their children. The problem is not our guns, it's your sons, right? And President Trump is fighting to stop the war. And they're actually attacking, what did he say, energetic diplomacy? And the media, MS and CNN, and so they're attacking him for saying energetic diplomacy. How dare he use such language? So they're attacking that now.